Hey friends, Michael Kingswood, and it's time to dive deep because it's 2 o'clock and it's Thursday, the 21st, and time for our daily live stream. The time since we talked yesterday has been kind of fun and interesting. Um, so last night, after I got done with ballet stuff, I decided to go back to poker table and lost a little. Still up on the day, still up on the week, but it didn't go so well. It is what it is. This morning has been back to my normal early morning routine of making my daily vig, jeez, driving, and I got back, did some lunch, and now I'm here with you guys. As soon as I leave, I'll be back to the writing desk to do more writing work and also recording for Story Saturday on Saturday, which is redundant, but that is what it is. And yeah, so it's gone pretty well in the last day. Small losses at the poker table aside. Um, yeah, the was listening to a podcast earlier today, the Dead Robot Society podcast. I don't know if you guys know them, but I know them. And listening to them for, geez, almost 10 years now. It's 2013, I think I discovered them. So holy cow, yeah, 9 years. And this the topic they were talking about today was how to write your books. Or not today, but the whenever it was they recorded it. But the podcast that I had in my buffer today from them, I think they record their things pretty early, was how to write your books with a target word count in mind. And they discussed it from a couple different points of view. With if you're outlining or if you just go by the seat of your pants. And I figure I might as well talk about my process for that. Mainly, I don't have a process. Uh, when I go when I start writing a story, I generally have a notion of approximately how long it's going to be. If I set out to say, okay, I'm going to do a short story, it's going to end up being a short story. There's a few times when I've sat down to write a short story, like the um, second story from Stories from the Great Challenge, uh, that I initially set out as a short story, and it was due on Sunday. And the end of the day, Saturday, I had 5,000 words written on it. I was like, oh yeah, just 1,000 or so words to go, and I'll be all set. And then a 9,000 word Sunday later, I had a 14,000 word story done. I was like, well, that's more than a short story. It's less than a novel. It's a novelette / short novella. Um, and there's been a couple other times writing stuff that has turned out longer than I thought. Um, but not all that often. Normally, if I start out to do something short, it ends up being short. If I have a notion of something longer or novel style thing, it ends up being a longer novel. Occasionally, the novels end up being longer than I thought they would be. Like the longest novel I've written was the Pericles Conspiracy. It came out at 122,000 words, which came to 480 some pages, I think, um, in the 5.5 by 8.5 format that it's printed in. Um, Whereas the Great Stories from the Great Challenge is 260,000 words, but it came to 770 in 6 by 9. But anyway, the when I was writing Pericles, I didn't really have a final word count in mind. I just had a in my head as I got going through it a general arc of where I thought it should, where I knew it should end up, and kind of worked through the plot as it proceeded to get it that way. But it ended up being longer than I thought it would. Um, my previous novels had been shorter than that, but this ended up being quite a bit longer. Um, Warfare Qualified, the Icaran Confederation Navy novel that I am about maybe halfway through, maybe a third of the way through, that I put on pause to finish up campaign season and a couple other projects on it. It's at 60 some thousand words now. And if it ends up being the same length as Pericles, I'll be surprised. I think it'll be longer than that. And just because, well, it's the 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 plot notion that I have for it requires that. Whereas the Glimmer Veil books, they're all 50 to 60,000 words, except for book five, which is 75K. Um, because they're all, you know, more simple, still very cool and fun and great to read stories, but they're more, a little more straightforward. And campaign season is as well. It's um, not going to be one of the longer ones of those. Um, but other times when I write stories, it seems like I generally have a notion of, not a notion, but a feel for how long it's going to be, and that ends up being the case. What Terry in the Dead Robots mentioned was that, to get to the little length you want, you need to cut out, if you're going long, you need to cut out side quests and cut out secondary plot lines to get there, and that's definitely true. Um, I guess I don't intentionally put in side stuff too much. It just ends up being, my stuff ends up being pretty straight line. I mean, there are secondary things going on, but they're obviously secondary, tangential to the uh, main focus so far in what I've been writing. So I guess I don't have the uh, problem with reaching targets that they were talking about, in as much as I don't really have a target most of the time. That said, I have written for you know antho- uh, anthology submission requests, and for things like Right of the Future, where there are word count limits, or other places that have targets. And when I know the target, I pretty much whether it's something in the back of my head or in the front of my head or whatever, ends up end up craft the tale such that it ends up most of the time being on target. And I'm not sure that I have any technique that I use to do that. It just sort of how it ends up, which is, I know, not a very satisfactory discussion of how a writer does his business. But well, what can I say? I'm not a very satisfactory writer, except that my stories tend to be. Um, take that for what it's worth. Anyway, yeah, this is gonna be a short one today because apparently I don't have too much else to talk about. But I did want to make sure I got in here to do the stream, so that there is, continuity in what I'm doing. Um, yeah, moving forward. Uh-oh, somebody's texting me and I get caught on the audio, but that doesn't matter. The Moving forward, sorry, I lost my train of thought because I got distracted. Moving forward, the rest of the day is going to be writing, and then I got to take my daughter to ballet again because she does ballet most days of the week. And when I get done with that, I'll be writing more, and probably doing some poker more. Between now and ballet time, I got about 2 hours, so I get a lot. When I write in a good groove, I get between 1,800 words an hour, so I'll probably get to 2,500 words written, and that'll be good. Yeah, nothing else to say. I'm gonna stop because I'm I'm out of it. Go by michaelkinswood.com, sign up for the newsletter, sign up to be a member, go by the store, buy my books. I'm gonna get out of here and get back to work. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't, tune in already. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and on Saturday with Story Saturday, as well as the daily stream, because it will be Saturday, and we do stream on Saturday, but not on Sunday. So I'm gonna be out. Have a good one. Talk to you later. Until then, don't do anything I wouldn't do.